So let's get into what Maurice and I saw. Try to explain it the best I can. I've got my notes that I took, and then I'm going to read his notes that he sent to me of what he remembers, and we'll see. I haven't even read through his notes yet, but I'm going to definitely pull mine up here. So what we did was we wanted to go take a look at that Mercury wall again, and we wanted to see what was on the other side of it, that type of thing. So because I wasn't going to my soul body to get there, we were actually just going directly there. It was a little more hairy than what would normally be the case. And as far as we had to really camouflage ourselves, I had to put a wall up because I knew they were going to try to find us something. There was just like alarms or something that was going to go off because we were in that area. Because if you think of this like being inside a computer, they can watch where you're going on your browser and everything else. It was like they can track stuff, and if you're in a certain area you're not supposed to be, alarm bells are going to go off. I don't think they were expecting a whole lot of people to be at that wall. Don't think that's a common occurrence. It's something that happens rarely when somebody dies and they want to get out and they know they're awake and aware of what this is, and they get there through their soul body. But somebody just going to that wall, I'm sure it's probably happened maybe on a drug trip or something, which is why you always get attacked by those beings or get afraid and stuff like that. I don't recommend finding places through drugs. I don't recommend even going to this wall like we did. So we saw ourselves going through like the virtual universes. And it was almost like, these lights and it was similar to what we saw when I did my video, what I saw. So we got to, I want to see where, we got to place where the pods were. And Maurice was talking to the pieces of himself that were in those pods, and my pod was very well hidden. And his pieces told him, do not try to find my pod. So I went on the conversation he was having with himself in his pods. So basically, I'm just going to read what I wrote here. Pieces of ourselves, possibly when we tried to make other attempts. Oh, so I asked, are those pieces in the pods, are those pieces of you that tried to make another attempt to get out of here, like maybe during another reset in the past? And, but I don't think that's what they were. That was just a thought that occurred to me. Let's see. Those are the pieces we go back to when we follow the soul out of here. So when you say you want to go back to your soul, going back to myself, to my soul body. I'm not going down a tunnel of light. I'm not going to turn around. I'm not going to do this or that or the other. Just going to go back to me, which seemed like the best thing that I saw. We end up going to those pieces that are in the pods. So mine is hidden well and should not be disturbed. It'd be too dangerous to be discovered. That gets us to the other part of us, the hand. So those pods get us to the other part of us, which is the hand that came through the Mercury wall. It gets us to the other side of that Mercury wall, which is the edge of the Tesseract. So it gets us out of all the virtual universes. And then what we were in was kind of like a corridor. And then you have the wall. We went through the wall without going back. So we did a different route. We went through the wall. We decided to go through it without going back to our soul first, that route. Okay, so when Maurice and I originally went here, because we wanted to go visit his pods that he saw, we saw a black hole there in the wall. that was the way out. And that black hole was what went through the Mercury wall. We're thinking that was the same wall. It was the Mercury wall. We just didn't realize that. So we went through all these virtual universes. We ended up there where the pods were, and we kind of figured out that it was also where the Mercury wall is. We didn't have to find the black hole to get out because we already knew about the wall now. We didn't know about the Mercury wall before I did that journey. So now that we know about it, we can go right to the wall. We don't have to find that black hole to get there that they keep trying to hide. So when we did get to the wall, it was kind of shiny, kind of like watery, shiny. And there was also other black holes in that area near the wall, but they were tricks and decoys to get you to not pass through the Mercury wall. So if you somehow ended up there on your own and you didn't know what this Mercury wall was and didn't know it was the way out, that you could just go right through it. It's like, it separates when you go through and then reforms. You would get led to, oh, look at these other black holes, and you would go down one of them. So it would keep you from going through the Mercury wall. So we did see those other decoys, and we did go through one of them, but I'll talk about that in a second. So when we passed through the wall, we had to really camouflage so that we wouldn't disturb anything or alert anybody to anything. I think when you go through with your soul and the soul body, you come out of the soul body, it gets discarded. I think that, you're already out. You don't have to worry about, it's a safe passage, so to speak. And I'll tell you why about that too, because we asked a lot of questions at the end. So we were in kind of like a gel-like blackness when we, okay, this is after so we went through the wall and we were in this gel-like blackness. Like I didn't have me there because I didn't go the route of my soul to the Atman. We just went through the wall in a different location. And there was another version of a tunnel of light there. We could see this portal or tunnel that had like a pinpoint of light at the end. And we thought, oh, let's go look down that thing. So we went down and I'm going to just write what was said here. Because we ended up, it didn't feel good. This tunnel did not feel good. It had kind of like a net pattern to it. And when we got to the end, it was this bright light. And we were greeted by this scene of a soul passing through, and the reptilians were there. And they were these people, these souls that went down. They didn't go back to their soul. The light bodies that went down the tunnel of light instead of going back to their soul. They were greeted by violent beings, these reptilian beings that were forcing torture, trauma, and mind wipes on them and guilting them into coming back, like different scenarios happening. So they were in pure bliss as they went through this, the false bliss. They were in this pure false bliss as they went through the tunnel, and then it was suddenly shattered with this ugly, threatening beings grabbing them violently. And they immediately remembered, oh no, this is not good. And I said to Marisa, I wonder if that's why people are afraid to die, because they know there's something bad there waiting on them. All right. So that's what we saw on the other side of the wall. So you don't want to so they're even trying to trick you when you get to that point. But if you follow your soul out, you'll go back to your Atman self, that hand and then you'll get out. So let's talk about this. Hopefully it's making sense, and then I'll read Maurice's notes. So what we did anyway with that scene, I always want to blow things up. So I said, let's put an energy bomb in here of our own energy and just blow this whole thing up, which is what we did. And it was interesting because I was hearing mirrors shattering and seeing mirrors shatter as we did that. But there was an infinite number of these places. So it made me realize there's more than just one tunnel of light. These tunnel of lights are all over the place. They got them everywhere. So if you happen to come to the wall and go through the wall, but you didn't go back to your soul, you just went through the wall like we did, there's another tunnel to go to one of these trick places. So there's a lot of these tunnel of light deals. I think I sent the energy out to blow a lot of them up. Like I just sent a wave out that we don't permit these to be here. Like an intention of, for the batteries for this thing, we can change things. So let's get back to the pods that are on the wall. They were going, the pods themselves, where there's pieces of you in them, are connected to the you that is outside, the real you. So that's why you have to go that route. This is from Maurice, because I was letting Maurice talk to the pods because we couldn't access my pod. So you don't want to go try to find your pod right now because it could get discovered. So this is not something I recommend you go do. Let me go find my pods. I was told do not try to find mine. So the pods, if you awaken here, you actually awaken the parts of you that are in the pods, which is interesting. Because what we saw was like they were moving in these patterns, these like coordinated patterns, and there was a lot of guards watching all these pods. But if you wake up, your pod starts to move and camouflage itself, and it can go invisible because you wake up that part of you that's in the pod, and it quits following the pattern, and it goes invisible. But you will be able to see it when you die because you're connected to it. So it camouflages itself. If it comes out of the camouflage, then it can be seen. So the parts inside of you inside of it wake themselves up and break out of the patterns and free themselves and move out of those coordinated patterns and away from the guards to eliminate interference as much as possible. So if you just accidentally wind up at this wall, like I said, it's going to be more of a fight. So you do want to go the soul route, because the soul will lead you right to where your pod is hiding. If you're not awake, your pod is not hiding, it's moving in these patterns. And it was like a giant machine that was running this, had mechanical parts, and the pods were stuck to certain rails and move along the rails. So more on these pods. They have to stay hidden. Once you wake up and you wake up the self that's there, it kind of happens at the same time. They cannot be tracked as long as they stay hidden. So they kind of free themselves from running with the patterns. If the pods move to stay hidden, then you have to go back to your pod to get out of this whole thing. Pods are free. So once they disconnect from that pattern, they're free from this whole thing. Unlike us, we're still here. They have to stay close to the wall because that is where the exit point is. They cannot go somewhere else and hide. They need to be by the wall and constantly move to stay hidden. If your light body's still buying into the false reality, which means you haven't woken up, you're not conscious enough to know that there is a light body and a soul body, then your pod is still stuck in that pattern. I would assume anybody watching this video, especially if you made it this far, that our pods are hiding themselves. Let me make sure I'm still recording. I'm not drawing this because I don't know how I would draw all this. So I'm letting you imagine it however you want. I think it's the information that's important. So when you are aware of the hypnosis, so I've talked about that. This is not a dream, it's a hypnosis. And our part of us that's in the soul body is being hypnotized and told to project and create this reality. So when you wake up here, you die, drop this body, your light body is awake with you, goes back to the soul, wakes it up, it knows the way out. Maurice got the same information from his pods as what I just said. And that's what I've talked about in previous videos. When you die, intend to go back to your soul. You're awake, which means you'll wake the soul up. It will go right to your pods and to your Atman, and you'll get out. If you're not awake here in this reality, your pods are still going in those patterns, being watched by the guards. When you are aware of the hypnosis, part of you in the pod wakes up to a certain degree, and it's aware enough to know that the pod has to move freely to increase the chances of it not getting discovered. So hopefully that makes sense, because I was taking notes on what Maurice was saying when he was talking to the pods. We also saw the physical body, when it dies, it gets released from gravity. So when Maurice said that, I was like, oh, gravity to me is magnetics. So the magnetics aren't holding the physical body here anymore. And then the light body's free to either go down the tunnel of light or go back to the soul and get out. But it can only do that if it's awake. So we've all woken up. That's why we felt this drive to wake up, figure out what you're in. Where are you? So we can get out because we've woken up and we've said, no, we're not staying. We don't comply. We don't give permission for this place. So they can't really stop us. They can still try to trick us, but if you've already got the intention to go back to your soul, your Ant-Man's going to get you out of here. God, I hope this is making sense. It's a really abstract concept to describe. And I am an abstract thinker, like I said. I think in a hologram style, not a linear. But I'm trying to give it to you. If you're getting it on some level, that's all that matters. So the physical body, if it's released from gravity, like the light body gets released from the gravity pole here because the physical body's dead and it's no longer connected to it, that to me is magnetics. So when I saw people getting the shot, I saw their light body flipped. The soul tube to the soul was no longer there. The light body was flipped backwards like a magnet. And when I tried to flip it back, it kept flipping back around, like when you push two magnets together, north and south or whatever, like they don't go together, the north and north. So this to me made sense. It's like, oh, this is all just magnetics, this whole thing. Sever the soul tube so they cannot follow the soul to the pod. So what happens is when you die, the light body's released from its connection to this physical body, and it can go back to the soul. And if it does that, they can't follow it out. So what they try to do is sever the soul tube so that you can't go back to your soul. But if that tube's still there, I kind of think even if you consciously have woken up and you've intended to go to the soul, your consciousness will go there anyway and get out. So if you go that route, they can't follow the soul, which makes sense why I didn't have to put protection up when I was following my soul out of here in that last video I did. All right, so the next thing we wanted to do was look at the machine that's pumping out time, because a lot of us have been talking about the clocks and time and where's the key to shut this thing off. So we went to look at that again because Maurice and I had seen this about a year ago or more. We saw that time machine. I'm talking too much. And it was spitting out time, but it was feeding itself on the energy of money, not money itself, but the energy of needing money, because that ties into our energy somehow. So we wanted to go back and take another look at that and see if we could shut that thing down or something. But I'll get into that in a minute. I want to read first the notes that Maurice sent me. His is, I'm sure, going to be way more organized than mine. Somehow I had this pulled up and it's just disappeared off my phone. That's really weird. All right, so I'm going to have to find this. God, that's annoying. I already had it opened. Okay, here we go. Here are my notes from our session yesterday. The white tunnel beyond the wall. So this was after we went through the wall. We encountered another tunnel of light beyond the mercury wall, so we decided to take a closer look. Upon entering the tunnel, we were engulfed in the almost blinding light. The walls were emitting this light and a false sense of warmth. While the light is making it difficult to see anything, but this bright light, the fake sense of warmth, is hypnotizing you, completely taking over your emotions so you don't notice that you are being pulled further and further in through this tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, reptilian forces are waiting to grab you as soon as you come out of the other end. So what this was is we went down this separate tunnel that was behind the wall because we saw a portal or a tunnel with a pinprick of light at the end, and we followed it, and we were like peeking out, watching this whole thing take place. That's what he's describing, watching a soul get pulled through the tunnel of light. So upon entering the tunnel, we were engulfed in the almost blinding light, the wall. So this is like the souls, what they're experiencing. At the end of the tunnel, reptilian forces are waiting to grab you as soon as you come out of the other end. These reptilians are anything but gentle and grab the souls in a violent manner to take them somewhere for immediate further processing, possibly to be mind wiped. I don't know why I keep laughing when I read this, because I don't know what's wrong with me. All I kept thinking about this was, okay, are we done seeing this yet? Because I had to hold the space because we were going to be detected. So it was taking all my energy just to keep us camouflaged while we're watching this. And I'm like, you're going to have to describe what's going on or pay attention. I have to use all my energy to hold this space. And I kept thinking, are you done yet? Are you done yet? So we can blow this up. But anyway, I am not sure where they are being taken exactly. I was only able to observe this from a distance. However, I could feel the immediate terror and utter hopelessness of the tricked soul. Transitioning from this false bliss-induced state to the sudden realization of being tricked and traumatized was gut-wrenching to witness. So, like I said, my attention was on holding the space. So a lot of this is Maurice's observations. So, you know, he's really phenomenal. We had to leave right then and there as the reptilian forces were starting to sense our presence. Yeah, I couldn't hold the space anymore. As we were heading back, we were wondering, are there more than one tunnel of white light? As we went past the mercury wall, we found ourselves in a blackish void when a white pinpoint appeared. That was this tunnel. So we also caused a couple of explosions while leaving this tunnel or tube of white light. And as they went off, we noticed mirrors shattering around us. So that was, I already talked about all that. All right. And so we asked the question, are there more than one tunnel of light? And we were feeling like most definitely. I felt most definitely. I saw them all over the place. So they got to make sure they get you, because you know, the measures they have to go to just tell us how strong we are. Time machine. So this is when we went to look at the time machine. I'll read my notes first. His are better. We saw a gold machine. We got that we are the key to it. It runs on time. We aren't bound by the laws of time. Oh, so this is what I said. I said we are not bound by the laws of time. It's impossible because we are limitless beings. Like I was doing something to shut this thing down or to give no permission to it. Okay, so that's all I wrote on that. There's more, though. Let me go down here. Yeah, okay. So he said, at the end of our session, we looked at time. First, we wanted to see where time was coming from within this virtual matrix reality. So this particular matrix. The wall that I was talking about, Mercury wall, that's out after you go through all the virtual universes where the matrices are contained in. You go through all those virtual universes to the edge of the Tesseract cube. That's where that wall is. So this time we're just looking at our matrix and the time machine running this one. Within this virtual matrix reality, we found ourselves inside a dark room which had a machine-like being floating in the middle of it. I forgot. Okay, I was getting the sense this was a being, this machine. It was an actual being, and the time was going in and out through like the mouth and the butthole, which made me think about my other video when I went through the tunnel of light and I went inside of a being and traveled and went out the other end through the butthole. So that's what this reminded me of. So we had a machine-like being floating in the middle of it. It was difficult to determine where exactly this room was. At first, we felt as if this time machine was a being, either part of the demiurge or a copy of part of the demiurge, both of which I kept getting the sense that this time machine being is located at the center. I kind of did too. I got something about the engine room or something, which makes me think of the Matrix movie, the source place where all the machines are. It is unclear if the center was referring to the center of our Earth, ship, or our virtual matrix, or all matrices, ergo at the center of everything. I kind of feel like what I got from it was there was one of these machines in every matrix, at the center of every matrix. After a while of trying to pinpoint the location, we were getting the sense that this time machine was not the only one of its kind. Therefore, we think there must be several of these beings. This could be either because they are decoy beings to protect the main time machine being, or because each of these beings only affect the time for a certain timeline or for a certain part of the matrix. That's what I think. This is still unclear. The time machine being had one entry point and one exit point comparable to a mouth and a butt. There was a stream of loose energy coming in, which was then turned into a stream of time coming out of this machine. This stream of time appeared golden, and upon closer look inside this stream were snippets of time, which could be described as scenes from a film strip. So that's kind of, yeah, so this makes sense reading it again. The money feeding this thing, all the loosh from money and fear of money and all that, the money makes this world go round. All that loosh was what it was feeding on, not actual money. This time stream, that's interesting, because if they crash the currency and put us on digital currency, there's a lot of people saying this is all over, then we're screwed. I don't know. That's just interesting how much money controls everything. This time stream is difficult to describe. It is like a stream of particles that are spewing out the time machine being in a golden stream. The stream is flowing and spreading around the room, and at the end of this time stream, the stream and its particles simply vanish or merge with their surroundings. That's what I was seeing too. Here I was getting the sense again that time is the fabric of this matrix reality. I agree. So our questions were, are there more than one time machine being? If so, why? I think so. I think they have to have a different one for each matrix. Where is the time machine being located? No clue. Other than I heard engine room. How is the demiurge connected to time? I don't know. There's a lot of people saying this is all over, then we're screwed. I don't know. That's just interesting how much money controls everything. This time stream is difficult to describe. It is like a stream of particles that are spewing out the time machine being in a golden stream. The stream is flowing and spreading around the room, and at the end of this time stream, the stream and its particles simply vanish or merge with their surroundings. That's what I was seeing too. Here I was getting the sense again that time is the fabric of this matrix reality. I agree. So our questions were, are there more than one time machine being? If so, why? I think so. I think they have to have a different one for each matrix. Where is the time machine being located? No clue. Other than I heard engine room. How is the demiurge connected to time? I don't know. So then we got the sense that this was a discussion we had afterward. We got the sense that after we die and we go to the real, because we were wanting to know what the real is. And Maurice said something like, if we can come in, but AI cannot get out of this. They can't get out, but we can come in. Is there a battle outside in the real, and who is fighting whom? AI not able to move freely in the real has to stay close to the matrix construct. And I said, as above, so below. So if we leave not only this matrix and this virtual universe, but all virtual universes and the entire tesseract, the entire virtual construct, and we go back to the real, we saw a battle happening there. I was like, oh my God. It's not the battle like that Gideon guy and these others are talking about where you die, they've disconnected your light body, they pull that light body and upload it into the matrix, into the Borg, and then have you fight the battles going on in here. So yes, there are battles, spiritual battles going on in here. And like I said, when you dream and you're out fighting battles, you're being forced to fight in those battles. You don't want to be fighting in those unless you're lucid dreaming. Then you can be fighting against all that where you dream. So we're talking about a battle happening in the real, outside of all this. All those other ones are still in the matrix. So you're just fighting nonsense, basically. Light and dark and blah, blah, blah. You're getting pulled into their nonsense. Battle on the outside going on as well. It's not the battle Gideon talked about being uploaded to a battle that is just another layer of the virtual universe. So we have to get out of here to rejoin the battle on the outside. And we will die at the right moment to join that battle at a key moment. The end of that battle is near, and the battle will conclude. So part of that battle is going on in here, part of it's going on in the real, and it is a battle against the AI, which is what I had seen a long time ago, that in the real, we could create, we're limitless, but we could create a world, and then in the world we create AI, and then the AI always does its thing where it tries to take over. So he's got here, ongoing battle outside. Back to Maurice's notes now. Is the battle outside in the real still ongoing? Who is battling against whom? AI versus real beings. If we can get in, can AI get out? Got the feeling that AI is not able to move freely outside. If they can get out of this virtual reality, they need to stay close to the matrix, and the battle itself is only happening close to the wall between the virtual matrix and the outside. So it might be a battle where they're trying to stop to take this virtual thing down because it's sucking in souls. It's something AI created. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain all that. It's very, very abstract. Hopefully you got something out of this or can understand what we're talking about. It's one thing to be in there, and then it's another to try to relay it to somebody, because I can be seeing an entire hologram of stuff, and then I got to try to put that into a couple words, and it's like really hard. But thank you for bearing with me on that. I think it's very good to know that if we die, I'll stress it again as we close here, in good linear fashion, I'm going to wrap it all up. When we die, if you have already awakened to what this place is, that it's a false reality, you do not get permission for it to exist, you do not intend to stay here, you are out of here, you cannot hold me because I refuse, I'm wide awake, you will get out of here. Your Atman is going to help you get out, get you to the edge of that tesseract, and then the real is going to pull you the rest of the way out. So I don't know if, I obviously don't know how many of you are still connected to your soul. I'm thinking of a three thing. There might be other bodies involved, but the three main bodies are this physical body attached from the heart to the light body. The light body is attached from the heart to the soul body, where your essence is. So our goal is to get back to that soul body where the essence is, follow that soul body vehicle out, because it will remember the way out, and it will get you to the pod which will get you to the Atman, and through the Mercury wall so that you can get out to the real, because your real self will be on the other side there, ready to pull you out. So it feels like that Atman will call us at that time. So we'll die at the appropriate time. And we'll automatically find that pod, because they cannot see the pod. It's camouflage, but we will be able to see it because it's part of us. It's us in there. We'll be led right to it. I was led right to it. So you're going to get out if you're awake. I just have to ask the question of, what if your light body got taken because you got the shot and you didn't come to me for a session to reconnect it? And I can't reconnect everybody's light bodies. It's impossible. So what happens then? Can we still get out? I think the answer is yes. I think I've asked this question. I think the answer was yes. But I want to make sure about that one piece of it. But your intention is to go back to your soul body when you die. Go back to myself, to my soul body. That's your intention if you want to take this advice or this resonates with you. So hopefully that kind of makes it clear. I don't think it's important that you have to know every aspect of what we saw or understand it. But we did throw some bombs on that, some energy bombs on that time machine. I forget what happened when we blew that thing up. And I sent the wave out to blow all the other ones up because I instantly saw it connected to all the other ones. So I did send a wave out, but I don't know how far out it went because they can make this infinite with mirrors, infinity. A mind program you can make infinite, ever expanding infinite. So I don't really know what we did, but I remember we caused some kind of rift in the time, the way time rolls out. We did something with this particular matrix.